have one ready you want to read? How about you?
Want to buy holy water? The little boy in the white robes asked as we labored through the ancient Arab quarter of the old city of Jerusalem on an especially hot afternoon.
Very nice, very nice. Somebody else got one? Yeah.
Okay, this is in Sicily,
Mm-hmm.
little Sicily, the country. I have a gold coin, the young woman shouts. Immediately all work ceases. Trowels and picks, brushes and cloths are dropped as the would-be archaeologists rush to gather around her.
Very good. That would almost make a good beginning for a story, too.
It was quite accidental. It was an agriturismo. And there'd been a heavy rain, washed the bank out, and they discovered all
They
these
found
ruins.
stuff. Isn't that
And you know
amazing?
what? They were all from UBC.
All those
Oh, my
archaeologists? Isn't that interesting? That's fascinating. Now, sometimes you will get a chance to actually interview somebody. You know, you never know who you're going to meet on your trips, and sometimes you will have an opportunity to interview somebody. The thing is, have a set of questions ready that you want to ask them, and if it's somebody that does something, like say it's an archaeologist, say you wanted to interview one of the archaeologists there, well, you know, think of the appropriate kinds of questions to ask them, then ask the question, let them do the talking. And if you have along with you a small handheld tape recorder, this is really good. When I had the good fortune of winning a trip to Kuala Lumpur a few years back with the Travel Writers Association, and it was recommended that I go to this place called Rimbun Dahan, where there was a botanical garden, but it was also the people that owned the property. It was an Australian woman and her Malaysian husband, and they had opened it up as an art colony, so people could go there for anywhere up to a year. Not just artists, but writers, people like that too. So I wanted to interview her, specifically not just about that, but also about the botanical garden, because it was quite fascinating. So I had a whole list of questions. I did some research about the place before I went there, so I knew what it was I wanted to talk to her about, and then I had a little handheld thing so that I didn't have to be writing stuff down while we're walking around. And that was a good way to do it. Just, you can get those little ones at London Drugs, don't cost very much. You know, stick them in your pocket and use those. So I did one interview also in Vancouver for senior living with a friend of mine who is a bluegrass musician, Sue Malcolm, and it's called Music Makes the World a Better Place. So in her case, I went to her house and sat down and we talked, and again, I did the recording. Then if you have access to that person, for instance, the woman in Rimbun Dahan, after I wrote the story up, I sent her a copy to make sure I hadn't misquoted her in any way, to make sure everything was the same. I did the same thing with Sue, with her interview. Just the beginning of this, how the interview starts. Sue Malcolm's life is full of music. Since she was a child brought up in a musical family, Sue's been singing and playing an instrument. She learned to sing while harmonizing in the school choir and listening to the Beatles. Both her mother and grandmother were singers, but she was the only family member who pursued music as a lifelong vocation. And then all the way through it, I have quotes of her, you know, the things that she told me in her own words that she said. So it's kind of fun if you get a chance to interview somebody and write a story about it. So, you know, always look for those opportunities if you can when you're traveling, because there's some interesting people that you bump into. So that, but now the other thing is that's very important, of course, is describing the setting. And the thing to remember is this: you write with all your five senses. The sounds that you hear, the smells that you smell in the air, the tastes of the food, the texture of the brick walls or the cobblestone sidewalks, and the colors that you see. And there's all sorts of different colors. No two mountains look alike. No forest, the forest has many different colors, many different kinds of trees. So there's a lot of variety that you can use. And this is where the RCLAS comes really in handy. If you're choosing that exact shade of coral or whatever it is, the color of the sky, you don't want to be, describing sunsets, describing beaches can be very, very cliched. So you want to do it in a way that it's really unusual. If you can use similes when you're using your description, that makes it even more vivid. And if you can look in the thesaurus to find that exact word that describes that color or whatever it is that you want to describe. So you want to convey that sense of place and bring the reader right into that story with you. So use active words when you're describing actions. If I'm going to go quickly in a few minutes over easy little ways to edit, so you know what to do, how to describe an action instead of telling us. You have to show us, things like that. And if you've forgotten details, this is where the photographs come in handy. You can look at the photos and you will see exactly what the description is like. On this back of this one page is one of the descriptions that I've always found so interesting in an article that somebody wrote about a trip to Rajasthan. And I'll read just the first part of it. The road to Pushkar is paved with mango trees, pilgrims, beggars, sugar canes, kamikaze cows, holy men with fire in their eyes and ashes in their hair, gypsy blacksmiths, and thousands of haughty painted camels. We're being driven across rural Rajasthan in northwest India in a brand new car, and from it we're enjoying an ever-changing view of camels put to many uses. Camels plowing the sandy chili fields, stepping daintily between the furrows, their heads held aloft in characteristic camel disdain. Camels slotted into parking stalls in front of chai shops. Camels hauling wooden carts piled perilously high with cut grass. Every sentence there has a visual impact that you can see, and it draws you right into that particular scene that they are experiencing. This is just another couple of examples from describing scenery things from a couple of my stories. This is one from a story about Ithaca. Ferry rounds Ithaca's rocky headland into a secret cove where pretty rustic houses cluster on the slopes of low hills surrounding the horseshoe-shaped bay. It's not until you enter the harbor itself that you even know the town of Batley is there. And then climbing on Mount Snowdon, the view from the summit of Mount Snowdon when a wet, cold mist evaporates from the barren slopes is a vista of yellow-brown hills and intensely green meadows. Far below the precipitous steep cliffs, a river flows through a valley where the stone houses of Lamperis village nestled beside twin lakes. So you want